Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is the BS Buddies podcast. That's your host, Ian. I'm your host, Joe. And today, we're going to be talking phobias. But not just like fear of heights, fear of being stuck in small spaces. Ian looked up a list of the weirdest phobias. And he's going to attempt to say their names as well, because some of them are ridiculous. But
Absolutely butcher their pronunciations, I think you mean, is a more accurate statement.
we'll
Is
see
there a
what
phobia
happens.
for a fear of mispronouncing words?
Yeah,
I might have
I'll look that one up. Good, but you talk about the list you found.
that. So yeah, as Joe says, today we've got a list for you of some of the strangest phobias that you will find out there in the world. Glancing through this list, I have to say it definitely makes the cut. Some of these are real head scratchers, and I guess my other overarching question throughout the theme of this whole episode would be, how like how do you classify something like this as a phobia? How many people have to have this before it stops being a rational fear that Timmy had because he choked on a spoon of peanut butter once at 7 years old, an actual medical condition that is quantifiable in some degree in the medical field? You know what I mean?
I feel like fears
So
are like national holidays, or not like just where there's a holiday for everything, and there's like five per day.
yeah,
Also, I was gonna say for the fear of mispronouncing words, I'm like I feel like I've heard this one before, and it's ridiculous, and it's the one I was thinking. Are you ready for this one? The fear of
I'm
mispronouncing
ready.
words. It has two words.
Double
So,
trouble for those who have it.
well, you could say this or this. The first one is here we go, sesquipedalophobia, or what it's better known as is hippopotomonstrosesquipedalophobia.
Expialidocious. Bingo, nailed it.
There's like, I remember seeing it years ago because it's like the fear of mispronouncing words, and then it's like it's legit a 20 letter word. It's backwards
Oh
and very
my.
small, you can't read it, but here's the two words by my middle finger.
Jarvis, zoom in on that. Just pronounce that. Thank God we have AI to butcher it for us, or the old Windows voice thing with the Rafflecopter.
I'll try
Wah,
to
wah, wah.
remember to at least put a little snippet of what they're called, like type it out so you can actually see.
Oh, so you can hear that wonderful monotone. Hippotondylipsis.
No, no, just I'll just type it. Sorry if you're audio
Oh.
only.
Yeah, sorry for hearing my voice there. My fault. I'll shut up. All right. So, like I said, starting us off strong with the peanut butter, because this is relevant. Arachibutyrophobia. Fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth. Not that this necessarily precludes you from being or from eating peanut butter, you're just afraid of it sticking to the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, I was gonna
Uh
say, like, is this like a debilitating fear, like all of these, or is it just like something like, oh, I'm sometimes worry about it, but I'm not like I'm gonna keep doing it.
yeah,
Risk
well, and this
versus
says
reward.
yeah, well, it says, for example, it's an uncomfortable feeling for everyone, but some people have phobias like the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of the mouth. Some people can handle eating small amounts, but others avoid peanut-based products like peanut butter sauces and ice creams. I don't know if you
Okay.
guys have ever had ice cream before, but it typically doesn't stick to the roof of your mouth. And if it does, it's not going to be very long because it's going to melt. And
Yeah,
third, even if you do put ice cream on the roof of your mouth, you're a bit of an idiot because then you're going to get brain freeze.
I suppose if it's debilitating, it's a phobia, but otherwise, it's just a fear. That
It, it
makes sense.
does. This part makes sense. It can be rooted in a broader phobia, like the fear of sticky textures or choking, or it can occur independently. Can you imagine what it'd be like? Man, I love Uncrustables, but every time I eat one, I feel like I'm going to have an anxiety attack. Why? Like it's going to stick to the roof of my mouth. Just like dip it in some milk or something. Mind blower. My life is so much better. Oh,
I
here we got the
I was just
what's
gonna
that?
add to that. Like, there's some like cereals, like Captain Crunch is a big one, and like Debbie has made jokes about this before. It's like you eat it, it's good, but it feels like it's just like razor blades in your mouth, like the first few bites.
Yeah,
So I can
yeah. So
understand like people like not liking that, but just having a straight up phobia of like food sticking to their mouth or
they're
it's
it's
out
really
there,
rooted
but
in the fear that they're gonna look like a dog trying to get peanut butter off its nose, just looking like a goober
maybe
in public, smacking their lips together.
maybe that's what happened to begin with.
New phobia unlocked. All right, next one is allium phobia, fear of garlic. Garlic bread could cause a panic attack for someone with an extraordinary fear of garlic. Okay, so there's a word for this already. These people are called vampires. They've been known about for like hundreds of years. There's a famous story by Bram Stoker. There's a little guy called Dracula. Like garlic. I'm just saying, garlic, vampires. If you have a friend in your life who has allium phobia, maybe give them a little poke with a toothpick around the chest area every now and again and see how they react. I'm just saying, there's tests. You can do some tests.
See if they just come into your home and uninvited and get them in front of a mirror just to make sure. If you checked
Yeah,
all the above, then please send them to a therapist.
make sure it's a silver mirror because that's where the old thing comes from. Is that old mirrors made with silver? They couldn't see their reflections. You got to make
Mm.
sure it's silver. It says people with allium phobia might start to shake or feel unable to breathe when around garlic or other pungent plants like onions and chives. For such people, focusing on its health benefits probably won't help. A compound in garlic may have powerful anti-inflammatory effects, according to a study in the 2015 issue of Journal of Immunology Research. Immu- Immunology, yeah, that's a word. Ooh,
So,
oh,
if you're a vampire, I understand. If you're allergic to garlic, I understand. But for the people who aren't either, where did it start? Where did it start?
walked into the kitchen one time. My mom was mashing up garlic, and it hit me in the nose and just about knocked me out backwards. Just like taking smelling salts through the olfactory,
Like,
just boom right to the dome.
if you don't like the smell, that's one thing. But just being deathly afraid of it.
Some people's fear, dark caves full of creepy crawlies. Other people's fear, a room filled with spiders. My fear, walking into a greenhouse full of onions. Just like, like losing my mind.
Speaking of other fears, I just thought of this. Ian and I had a teacher in high school that had a fear of balloons. I don't know if
We
you,
did?
yeah, one of our English teachers. I can explain later because during our
Um,
senior class prank, like some of the things they did, they filled one of our staircases with balloons, and someone said the teacher was like, would not go up it no matter what.
I don't remember this one. You'll have to explain that to me. I don't recall that at all.
The last name starts with an H.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you know who I'm talking about now? But
I believe so, yes.
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had a fear of that until senior year.
Speaking of English, the fear of long words is called
Mm.
sesquipedalophobia.
Hey, that's the one I
I
just
don't.
read.
Yeah, sesquipedalophobia, fear of long words.
Otherwise known as the hip,
Hippopotamus expialidocious, something or other.
hippomonstrosity cryptophobia or something.
That's quite a word. They see that pneumono ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis and they just faint out on the spot. Get the smelling salts. He's down.
Well, we just lost like a quarter of our people because you said that.
The next one we got up on our list is called ablutophobia, fear of bathing and cleaning. Now, listen, internet folks, there's a lot of jokes that can be made about this particular fear. I'm a classy individual. I'm just going to say those words to put the ideas into your mind, and you can take it and run from there. I wonder what specifically it is about, like, afraid of going in the ocean, afraid of going for a swim. I feel like that has to extend more than just like a
What
shower in a bathtub.
what if it's not? Like, oh
Unless
yeah, I'll
like
swim in the ocean. That's fine. But don't get me near soapy water
they
or
they
try and
just
clean
saw
me.
they just saw that old movie Psycho from like the 60s and the knife in the shower, and it just affected them so deeply on a spiritual level. I can never go near a shower again. And it's like trying to get a dog to go in the, oh, you want a bath? You want a bath? Yeah, you want a treat? Get in the bath. Get in the bath. And you're just trying to throw them in there, and they're like, no. All right, here's another one that I don't understand. Uh, dextrophobia, right? Okay, so the term ambidextrous means left or right-handed, but dextrophobia, fear of having objects to your right.
Just
Excuse
right.
me? Yeah,
Just right.
with a form of obsessive compulsive disorder, some people can't stand to have objects at the right side of their body, which could make it hard to drive in the fast lane with vehicles to the right. On the flip side, levophobia is defined by a fear of things to the left side of the body. How do you function?
Have you
Everything that ever exists is either to your right or to your left, or I guess if you want to be really technical, you got in front, behind, above, and below. But in some capacity or another, everything will exist either to your left or to your right at
so
some point in time.
so how do you drive? Like the left-handed one like you can get by with, but right, it's like you have your shifter, you have
You have to
the
buy,
radio, like
you got to buy foreign cars only, I guess. Like only foreign cars or something like that. Oh, I get why people buy the Japanese Skylines now. I get it. Oh, they all have dextrophobia. I get it. I understand.
I've never heard of that vehicle.
The R30, what's it? R34 Skyline, Nissan. It's by Nissan. It's a real popular vehicle in the car community because they're like not insanely rare, but they're like,
Oh, I feel like I've seen this 1,000 times and they're never in good condition.
no, they never are, and that's why people value them so much.
Oh,
Oh, now
like a
here,
GTR, you said?
uh, yeah, I think. No, maybe. I don't know my cars. Hang on.
That's what Google says. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, Skyline R34 Skyline GTR. Yep, that's it. Okay, so now here's one that I would hate to have. It's either siderophobia or siderophobia, the fear of stars. Many people enjoy stargazing on a clear night, but that's not true for everyone. People with, I'm going to go with siderophobia just because I think that sounds cooler. People with siderophobia have a fear of stars and might keep their curtains closed to avoid getting overwhelmed by how vast and uncontrollable the universe is.
That
I
one,
mean,
this is the first one I understand. Like, that makes sense. It could be like an out of body experience sometimes. Like, even when I'm like
very,
watching a video about like how like the universe kind of is, and it's like, oh, there could be an asteroid that just wipes out. It's like, for those people, I feel like you don't look at stars, but you're afraid the one time you do, you're going to see an asteroid coming straight for you.
see, I wouldn't be afraid of seeing an asteroid. I would be more afraid of like, I guess I shouldn't say afraid, but I'd be more excited like if you look up in the night sky and the people who live in like big cities, I don't know if you guys will be able to do this because, light pollution, but if you're out in the country or whatever, I think it'd be really cool to look up and you see a star go supernova and just like you're like, oh, look at that one. It looks like it's burning extra bright. And then just boom. Because then it's like, wow, I wonder how many millions of years ago that star detonated for us to meet, for me to be able to see that explosion right now. Because they say that, like, I don't know how much majority of the sky, but the stars you actually see are burned out a long time ago. But, it takes so long for the light to reach Earth that we're still seeing them. Here's one that I'm sure a lot of people claim they have arithmophobia. Take a guess what that is.
Math.
Fear of numbers, yeah. For some people, a fear in numbers goes beyond frustrations over solving equations and understanding geometry. People with arithmophobia have an irrational fear of numbers in general.
I love numbers. I don't understand numbers. That's my issue. Like when it's my own math and me trying to figure out stuff in my life, like adding things together and stuff, no problem. But if you give me a formula with letters, that's not going to go well.
You can stun lock people with arithmophobia by just showing them a picture of pi that isn't rounded to the nearest decimal. Just wow, and then flashbang. And they're just like stuck. They're like beans from Rango. Just oh, what happened? And then like 20 minutes have passed. uh, Here's an interesting one. Logophobia. I don't know how logo plays into this because it's the fear of reading or learning how. We also have a word for that. It's called illiterate. Side fun fact: my favorite thing I've ever seen to this day was a book on illiteracy. Oh, I love
Man,
irony.
I got nothing for that one. That that checks out.
People with a fear of words function fine in conversation, but when shown written words, they could become breathless, shaky, or paranoid. Once again, I ask, how many times must this happen to different people before they actually classify this as a phobia? I know a lot of people with this next one. Ideophobia, fear of reason or ideas. There's many people I meet that have this particular fear. In fact, I think it's so prevalent that you couldn't even classify it as a phobia. I think it's just what they call a lack of common sense.
I
Ex-
had one person in specifically in mind when you read that. The problem is with this person I'm thinking of, when they're proven wrong and they know it, their problem is they continue to argue their point even though they're wrong. And those people are dangerous because they will set you off and they won't care. They know they
exactly.
lost, but they keep going because it's irritating you.
They're just like, I need to continue this and raise his blood pressure levels well beyond normal capacity for human veins. It's like by the end of it, you could give me a paper cut and it'd shoot 10 feet across the room. Just
Speaking of the person they just messaged me,
speak of the devil and he shall appear. Oh God, what in the world is this one? Omphalophobia, a fear of belly buttons. Is it specific to outies or innies? Because I feel like that's pertinent to the conversation
I
here.
got some bad news for you.
People with a fear of belly buttons try to avoid touching their own, even in the bath, and might cover their belly buttons with a bandage or avoid going to places full of exposed navels like the beach. You're just putting some moleskin over your belly button, like what?
One of those like button band-aids. Have you
Oh,
ever seen
that's
those?
hilarious.
That's probably what
But
happens.
it'd start growing a bacteria culture in that thing if you kept it on there for too long. I hope they at least take it off on a daily
But
basis,
then
man.
they'd have
That'd
to
be
touch the
gross.
belly button.
Tweezers, bro. That's all I gotta say to you. Tweezers. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find some good ones here. Cathosophobia, fear of sitting down. While you look forward to sinking into a comfy
That's
chair
it?
after a long day, some people experience the fear of sitting down. While phobias can sometimes severely disrupt daily life, there's something to be said for not sitting for long periods of time. Harvard Medical School experts warn about the dangers of prolonged sittings, stating that habitual inactivity raises risks for obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, deep vein thrombosis, and metabolic syndrome. Yeah, no duh. Sitting down means you're inactive. What a shocker. Brightest minds of the 21st century here, ladies and gentlemen.
So,
And some
yeah, they gotta just take that info and be like, I should never sit down.
could
Like,
never sit down ever.
yeah, I've heard that, like, after like 3 or 4 hours sitting down without like getting up at all, like you're at high risk of getting a blood clot. But all
Now,
you
see
got to
that
do is just stand up every hour or so, like just for
stretch
a
your legs
moment.
out,
Like even
you
when
know.
we're recording this and we have like 2 hour, like 2 to 3 hour sessions where we're just working on stuff, like we'll take a break in between each video. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go stand up, get some water. Cause
Yeah, and
yeah,
you just stretch out real quick, and oh my gosh.
let
All right.
let's do one more.
Yeah, and this last one is a bit of a doozy. Kind of more, Kinemortophobia, or kinemortophobia, however you so want to pronounce it. The fear of zombies. Common sense. That's just called common sense. Regardless of the logic behind whether or not zombies could actually exist, fear of zombies is called common sense. In fact, we have several pop culture shows dedicated to showing exactly that.
You
Can you
know,
really classify that as a phobia?
technically, I guess it could be debilitating in the fact that, like, when it gets to phobia state, it's like you will not go to a cemetery. So if you have a loved one that passes, it's like you can't go because you're too afraid.
Yeah, I
But
can
in
kind of
all
see it.
other areas, I don't really know.
I could kind of see where this would stem from because of like back in like centuries past and stuff when you had like the plague going around and morticians and all that were pronouncing people dead and sometimes they weren't dead. And I don't know if this is true. This is unsubstantiated. This is just what I've heard through hearsay over being on the internet for the years. But that they used to bury people with like a little tube for air down into the coffin when they bury it, and then they would tie a bell to a string that ran to your finger. And some cases they pronounce someone dead, they bury them, and then that person wakes up and they're like, "What's going on?" And they start thrashing around, and then the bell, ding, 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 "Hey, I'm not dead over here," and then they come dig them up. So like, that I could maybe see if that's where that phobia stemmed from. Other than that, I got nothing. I have no idea.
I feel like I have heard that one though, so
That
yeah.
is,
On that note, we're gonna do quotes. Cause
yeah.
happy thought for the end of that.
Right as you said, happy thought. I've seen the worst quote that I think I've ever seen before. I'll
What?
do my actual quote and then I'll do the bad one. You go first, though.
Okay. Mine's by Rosa Parks. So we're starting off strong. I have learned over the years that when one's mind is made up, this diminishes fear. Knowing what must be done does away with fear.
Hmm, that's a good one. Thanks, Rosa. We appreciate you and your wise words of wisdom on fear. Mine is by W. Somerset Maugham? Maugham? I don't know. It was such a lovely day, I thought it a pity to get up. And then the
Fear
one that's
fear of sitting
terrible.
down though.
Yeah, I have a fear of getting up for the day. That's what I have a fear of. And then this one by Robert Bloch. I have the heart of a child. I keep it in a jar on my shelf.
Thank you for BSing with us.
Why is that a quote? Why is that a quote?
I hope that guy's a comedian. Otherwise, I hope the FBI raided his house. So
Screw that. The FBI is about to raid my house. Just gonna hear, open up. Uh-oh. And it just gotta go.
take bubbers.
Take bubbers and run.
But thank you for BSing with us. Subscribe to become a bud today, and we will see you next time when we go through the list of ideas I have written down right next to me.
That's all the episode's gonna be, is us reading off our ideas. But until then, you just make sure to take her easy now.